Daytona. Just that word is enough to spark memories of crowded arcades, glowing cabinets, and that unmistakable rolling start chant. But when Sega brought Daytona to the Dreamcast in 2001, this wasn't a simple port. This was a reinvention, an attempt to update a mid-90s arcade icon for the living room, with new visuals, new tracks, and all the challenges of squeezing arcade perfection into a console box. Today, we're breaking down Daytona USA 2001 on the Dreamcast. What it got right, what it lost in translation, and why it remains one of Sega's most fascinating racing experiments. Before we touch the Dreamcast, we need to remember what Daytona meant. Released in 1993, the arcade Daytona USA was built on Sega's Model 2 hardware, polygon-pushing muscle that made 3D racing look and feel alive. Crisp track design, smooth 60 frames per second, and multiplayer cabinets that turned every arcade into a racetrack. For years, it was the benchmark racer, but bringing that sensation to a console was never easy. The Saturn tried, twice, but with mixed results. By the time the Dreamcast rolled around, Sega wanted redemption. Daytona USA 2001 wasn't just a Dreamcast port of the arcade code. It was a ground-up rework. The Dreamcast used Sega's Naomi board as its arcade cousin, which meant a more advanced polygon pipeline, bigger textures, and potential for higher resolutions. Instead of just lifting Daytona from Model 2, Sega added tracks, overhauled car models, and aimed for something more like a reimagined package, half nostalgia, half modern upgrade. On the Dreamcast, Daytona finally looked sharp. The game ran at higher resolutions, car models carried more detail, and environments had cleaner textures than the Saturn ever managed. Stadium crowds had depth, trackside details like signs and scenery popped in more convincingly, and the game even supported widescreen, a rarity at the time. But it wasn't flawless. Frame rate, while aiming for 60, often slipped under pressure. Pop-in was reduced but not eliminated, and some textures looked sterile compared to the bright arcade palette. Still, this was the first time home players got a taste of Daytona that visually lived up to memory.
Check your position. Checkpoint. Time's extended.
Daytona is all about the feel of drifting a stock car around long curves. The Dreamcast version preserved that but altered it. Steering felt tighter, less floaty than the original arcade. Purists argued it lost some of the exaggerated drift charm, while newcomers found it more controllable. This handling tweak was deliberate. Sega wanted to balance arcade style with home console play. The Dreamcast controller's analog stick was solid, but not as precise as an arcade wheel. That meant the skill ceiling shifted. To really appreciate Daytona USA 2001, you needed either the official Dreamcast racing controller or a third-party wheel. Without it, you were always fighting for subtlety in the corners.
Time's extended. Stay low in the turn. Checkpoint. Time's extended. 2 laps to go.
This wasn't just Daytona Arcade slapped on a disc. Daytona USA 2001 offered the original 3 classic tracks, remastered. A set of brand new tracks designed to test the updated physics.
Check your position.
Multiple cars with different handling profiles. Extra modes, including a time attack and online multiplayer in Japan. The online functionality in particular was ambitious. Dreamcast players could race across dial-up connections, though lag often meant chaotic results. Still, the attempt was bold, and ahead of its time. And then, of course, there's the music. Rolling Start, Sky High, Let's Go Away, all the classics returned, remixed with higher fidelity on the Dreamcast CD audio format. You could even switch between original arcade tracks and new arranged versions. Sound effects, meanwhile, got beefier. Engines had a deeper growl, crashes packed more punch. But the charm of Daytona's slightly cheesy, endlessly quotable soundtrack remained intact. And that's a big part of why the game still hits nostalgic nerves today. Here's where the cracks show. Daytona USA 2001 looked sharp, played solid, but suffered from inconsistent frame pacing. Dropping below 60 in a racer that's all about rhythm made purists bristle. Handling tweaks divided the fanbase, and some felt the new content lacked the elegance of the original arcade designs. Add to that a Dreamcast market already in decline, and Daytona USA 2001 didn't make the splash Sega hoped. For many, it was a curiosity, a solid racer overshadowed by the likes of Sega Rally 2 and Metropolis Street Racer. Daytona USA 2001 stands as both triumph and experiment. It finally gave console players a sharp, feature-packed Daytona that captured much of the arcade spirit. But by altering handling and struggling with consistent performance, it never fully replaced the cabinet experience. For Dreamcast fans, though, it's an essential, a game that showcases Sega's ambition to blend arcade nostalgia with console innovation. And in hindsight, it's one of the last major attempts Sega made to evolve their arcade racers before the Dreamcast's curtain call.
2, 1, go!
So when you load up Daytona USA 2001 today, don't just compare it to the arcade. See it for what it was. Sega's dream of keeping an icon alive in your living room. A mix of fidelity and reinvention, charming quirks and bold ambition. But I want to hear from you. Did you play Daytona more in the arcade, or was your first taste on a home console? And if you've tried the Dreamcast version, did you prefer its tighter control? Or did you miss the drifting chaos of the original? Drop your thoughts below, and let's keep the Daytona chant alive.